Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Jackknife Jim. Today we have a special treat for you. We're down in sunny St. George. Today we've got Tommy Cole, my good friend here with Red Desert Field Service. Tommy called me, what, 2 or 3 months ago? Said, hey man, I need a truck. How long you been a technician? Been wrenching on stuff?
It's been almost 20 years, 17, 18 years.
Been working for several different companies. Worked for a power line company for a long time. Worked for a crane repair company for a long time. Got a bunch of contacts, got a bunch of work. Obviously knows how to wrench. Said, you know what, it's time we do this. We got Tommy lined up with a new truck. This is a 2025 Ford F550 Super Cab. For you guys who have one, this is kind of the truck to have. It's got the little extra space in the back seat here for all of your miscellaneous, your coveralls in the winter, your lunchbox, your computers. And if you guys have seen our other videos, you've seen that, you know, some of the other guys even have a clothing rack back there, hang their hard hats, all that good stuff.
I keep it pretty simple. I've got diagnostic tools, hard hat, Starlink spare parts, Slim Jim lockout kit, you know, unlock people's cars. I keep it pretty clean. Remote control is up here. Storage for remote control.
Have you tried putting your truck in drive with the remote out of the cradle yet?
I have not.
So Stellar, on all these remotes, they got an alarm in there. If you get in and try to drive your truck, or maybe it's if you can take the park, I don't know if it's maybe you take the park brake off without that remote in the cradle, it'll set an alarm off and tell you that your remote is not in the cradle. And those remotes aren't cheap. I actually just replaced one this week. These guys will drive off with them stuck to the back of their outrigger or on their bumper. It's got a magnet on there. You know, it's easy to be working on something and stick it on there and get working, put everything away and forget about it and drive off. So Stellar put a little fail safe in there, keep you from losing that remote, save you a lot of money.
But yeah, so that's a cab in my truck. I don't keep a lot of stuff in there.
So last week during our shop tour, I told you guys to go leave a comment. I'll be sending out 5 hats. Got all those guys picked out. Here they are, and their hats are on the way. We're gonna be doing that in a lot of the videos. I'm just be picking random comments and sending out merch. So please go leave a comment, go like and subscribe. Thank you for the support. So to help Tommy work out the kinks in this brand new truck, we actually got to test out his crane, something we haven't done on these videos. So stay tuned to the end. You'll find out exactly how much Jim and I weigh.
So this right here, I've got another set of these drawers coming, ordered them from Jim. It's gonna be these same style drawers, same depth, same height, go right here. That'll help me organize a little bit more of this stuff, move stuff around. Standard plier drawer, try to keep it organized. This is how I keep track of my tools when I'm done on the job. This is how I know that I've gathered all my stuff and put it back and haven't lost anything. I honestly think that I got these plier organizers off the Cornwell truck, and they come in big, long things, and I cut them in half and made them fit these drawers. I've had them for years. All my tools are on this side. In the past, I'd run a bolt bin off this side, but it gets a little heavy, so bolt bin's on the other side. But all of my hand tools, electric tools, stuff that I use every day or real frequently is all on this side of the truck. I honestly don't have very many air tools on this truck. I'm almost all electric. I've got a big 1-inch air gun, and I've got like an air hammer and some air angle grinders and stuff. But other than that, we're almost all electric. I just use Milwaukee and Snap-on. I can carry those 2 chargers and charge all of my tools.
What are you running to power your charger?
So right now, I'm just using the inverter in the cab of the truck because it comes with one.
Yep.
I've got plans to put my inverter right here. I just want to come up with a way to use these Unistrut rails to make a mount. My inverter will magnet too, so I'm not drilling holes in the truck. So we're waiting, but right now I am just using inverter in the truck, and it's doing just fine for what I need right now. Most used power tools is honestly this little 3/8 gun or these electric ratchets. I use these guys every single day. I know you think a big truck, it's gonna be one of the big guns all the time. This little guy will take all the cover bolts off, like the belly covers on a excavator. They'll pull, you know, any cover bolts on a Mini X, or you know, if you're working on cranes and they got little covers over everything, this or even this little guy at a bit kit will pull all the cover bolts you need to pull. Do a lot of hydraulic stuff, so it goes from these power tools to hand tools. But yeah, that's my most common 3/8 Snap-on and 1/4-inch Snap-on. Yeah, they work good. I have tried other brands, and there's nothing even against other brands. I do have some stuff that I use here personally that's Milwaukee or whatever. I've got older Snap-on stuff that I've taken off the truck, and for getting things done quick, they're a lifesaver. This is just kind of batteries and big stuff till we get the other drawers. I got a bunch of these bit kits, Milwaukee stuff. I've kind of just taken all those bit kits apart and made one that I use every day. First aid kit, in case somebody gets hurt. But yeah, I mean, pretty much it. Calipers, drill bits, standard sockets. Been missing those forever. But yeah, got standard wobblies, standard on rails. Got them, you know, mid depths. wobblies, 1/4, 3/8, and 1/2 inch.
Which sockets would you say you use the most out in the field?
Yeah, I use 3/8 more than I use anything, but I use metric more than I use standard. These sockets right here are the sockets that I've used the most, is this 3/8 set right here, shallow and deep, and then like these wobbly sets. This chrome wobbly set and that impact 3/8 drive wobbly set, I use this more than anything.
Just got them on a magnetic strip there. You can just pull them out and carry them out.
Yep, these are just mag strips. You can grab them and take them to the truck. If you don't know what you're after, you can just grab the whole thing. This little kit right here, I've put this together. I mean, you could buy a kit, I'm sure, but this is like if you're under the hood. I do light and medium duty truck stuff as well. So if you're under the hood of your Ford, Chevy, or Dodge, these are the most common sizes that you run into. You know, 7, 8, 10, and 13. And then I got an 8 and a 10 magnetic socket because my hands are too big to fit places. So when I don't want to drop bolts, that's what I'm using to keep from dropping stuff. But yeah, that's my most common used stuff right there. So I do kind of a jack of all trades. I work on more heavy equipment than anything. And then when I'm not working on heavy equipment, I find myself working on a lot of Ram 3500 to 5500s, Ford, you know, same size F350 to 550s. Do a lot of emissions work on those things when you can't get them into the dealership. You know, they're broke down out in the field. I've got the software and I've worked on them for years. So I do find myself, it's kind of a secondary thing. Like they'll call me out there for equipment and they've got trucks on the site having problems, and I find myself working on a lot of them.
You got a few big companies that just kind of keep you on rotation.
You know, they really want to have their own mechanic on, and I get that. But when they can't keep up, yeah, they call. A lot of roofing companies here in town, like, I mean, Foundation Building Materials, Roofer Supply, things like that, they keep me pretty busy on crane stuff, and then forklifts or skid steers, things like that. I work on that stuff a lot. That's pretty common.
Mostly hydraulics or electronics or?
Everything again, but hydraulics. Hydraulics are the biggest breakdown that I'm seeing right now. A lot of the new roofing cranes are getting like CAN bus systems and sensors, just like automotive stuff is. And when you get a sensor going bad, it'll derate these cranes, it'll lock them down, and so I'm finding myself doing more and more of that electrical diagnostic work on those cranes. But yeah, hydraulic work, cylinder rebuilds in the field, hose repair stuff. I've got a hose machine that I don't keep it on the truck, I keep it in the shop. I can run it out on a job.
Like
or
a
I use
a crimper?
Yeah, a crimper. Or I use a network of hose companies around here. Got a guy out in Hurricane that's one of the best. And
is there a guy that does it out of a van down here, like a mobile guy?
Yep, we got a Rapid Hydraulic guy, and I think that's the name of the company, is Rapid Hydraulic Repair.
There you go. Rapid Hydraulics.
And then there's hoses and more are my two go-to every time.
Okay.
Pretty standard. I just keep everything as organized as I can so I can keep track of my stuff. I'm sure it might not look organized to everybody else out there.
Looks great.
But it works good for me.
A lot of snap-on.
Yes.
I mean, how long would you say you've had most of these tools?
I mean, forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
right out of school, you just started building it, or started?
In high school, I started buying some of this stuff, which kind of stressed to me when I was younger instead of borrowing people's tools, anything I had to borrow more than once I needed to buy, and I've just kind of stuck to that. So for a long time, I've pieced it together, you know, buy big wrench kits and stuff. When I got when I was young and I got my first big paying job, I went out and bought every snap-on wrench and stuff I can get a hold of. And a lot of it I've had for a very, very long time. A lot of my sockets and wrenches, I've had this snap-on wrench set. Well, this is a flank drive set, so I've probably had it since like 2012. I don't find myself buying big purchases of tools anymore. It's custom stuff, you know, one-off things like had to pull a bed on a new Ford, and they got these.
Oh yeah, what is it called? The T.
They're not even a T anymore. So this is a it's a Torx Plus socket. So they've squared them off, 6 sides on them, and this is the one that you use to pull a Ford bed. And I needed to pull a Ford bed. I didn't have the socket. I went and bought it.
I've borrowed that socket several times. Yep.
You need to buy one. I'll give you a guy's phone number. Another, I had to buy. I didn't have a strong standard, just like T60 on a 3/8. And I don't even remember why I needed it to be 3/8, but it did. And I just, went and bought that one. So those I've used more than once. This I've used more than once. I've got some wrenches in this other drawer that I've only ever used once, and then I pack them around just to make myself not feel so bad about it. I bought these to use one time, 2 of them, 2-inch, and that hurt.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever used them since then, but I absolutely had to have them because I am working mostly in southern Utah, and I do cross the scale pretty often I try to keep a lot of my standard type stuff on here. I've got a lot of specialty stuff in my shop as well, that if I know the job's gonna call for it, or if I know what piece of equipment I'm going on, I can guess, you know, guess what I'm working on. Moon wrenches, I don't keep them on, but of that one I use a lot. I had to buy this the other day just for that angle. I just needed that, yeah, I just needed that 7/8 and I needed to get on it with, and this fit.
See how you organize your ratcheting end wrenches there.
I throw them on a leash. They're keychains. So I got these again from the infamous Snap-on, and they're just little like clip things. And I hang my stubby gear wrenches on these, and it's standard and metric. I can either clip them off there if I know what I'm after, or I can just grab the whole thing and go throw them in a bag if I'm gonna be going somewhere I can't get the truck to. I have a bag I carry that I'll throw together if we're gonna have to get a ride in, if I'm gonna have to take a side-by-side, or I'm gonna have to hike in. I've been flown into job sites before to work on special stringing equipment, and you just grab a kit and go. You kind of know what you're in for. You throw everything you might need into it and go.
Another thing I like about these Stellar crane bodies, the lighting they put in these things is incredible. We've got a light strip that goes up both sides, and then they've got a light strip right here on the top of the drawer. So you open the drawer up and this light up right here and shine lights down inside your drawer. It's obviously super bright outside, so you can't see it right now, but super nice feature on these Stellar bodies.
And I have used it. You get up, like, I mean, this morning it was 5:30 or 5 o'clock, and it's weird. It's already getting dark early, so 5 o'clock I couldn't see real well, and instead of having to pull my little pocket flashlight out, you can just see what you're getting into. They're awesome, and I love these drawers because it doesn't seem to matter how much crap I throw in them.
Slide, huh?
Yeah, they don't mind it at all, and they'll stay out. This driveway's not flat; it's leaning, and they'll stay right where I pull them, and I love that.
Another thing I like in these is uses these plastic ammo cans. My personal truck, I end up having stuff in bags and miscellaneous totes and these little plastic containers that I get out of other service bodies and different stuff. And if I had a row of ammo cans in there all lined up and organized, my life would be a lot better. So that's a good idea.
They do, they save you. And I write on them with markers because we're crammed for space. So you shove everything you can in here, and you know, a lot of times all you can see is the edges of stuff. So we'll write on them what they've got, what part kits they've got, and it helps a ton.
I like that they're plastic too, saves you a little weight.
Yeah.
You had an old metal or ammo can in there, get a little heavy.
Yeah, they tear you up. These two right here are actually, I just picked these up. These two are empty. So, but I've got some on the other side that have got stuff in them. The other thing I guess you can show them is that we went through and I put these horse mats in these trays to line them so that things don't beat up the truck.
Yeah, that 1-inch gun rattle around in there.
Yeah, it'll tear stuff up.
We see a lot of these on a lot of trucks. A lot of guys don't use them much anymore, but this is a 1-inch Ingersoll Rand impact. So if you got a semi tire or like the big counterweight bolts on the back of an excavator or something like that,
track bolts,
all that kind of stuff, you're gonna have that compressor running red hot, and this bugger is gonna be earning its keep. A lot of guys don't use them every day because their cordless stuff can usually handle it, but I mean, a truck like this, that's probably mission critical, right?
It is, yeah. And that's the last thing I used that for was track pad bolts.
Really?
On a 345. Yeah, we did. I think it was a 345 or 336. We did track pads just this last weekend. That was the last time I used that. And I think that's the last couple times I've used that is doing track pad bolts. Yeah. Chemical drawer, just kind of sprays and stuff, paints and whatever you might need.
Got some Loctite in there.
Yep, Loctite.
Some engine oil.
Engine oil, little cup for engine oil, hand cleaner. Brake clean, I do use a lot of brake clean. It'd probably be easier just to buy the stuff in a big 5-gallon tote, but I buy it by the can. Grease, gloves.
Size 6XL for his giant mitts. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they are. They're the biggest gloves you can get. There's 2XL and they still aren't perfect.
Are they 2XL?
Yeah, those are 2XL.
Now this thing would be like it's like a kitchen bag. Walmart sack.
Yeah. Bumper compartment, sticky, brand new.
Got that fresh wrap on there.
Yeah, it's all brand new, everything's sticking still. I keep some long pry bars. Yeah, I got 4 of those bad boys in there. Big tools, stuff I don't like to use every day. Biggest chain wrench I can find for doing hydraulic cylinders, busting the gland nut when I don't have the tool to do it. This will do the job every time. What's
the trick to get that thing broke loose?
A lot of them I can get with this bad boy myself. If not, then we do the old hook it to the crane and
you just hook a sling around the end, or?
Yeah, if I have to use this, I'll just use a sling on the end. I don't generally use this. If I'm gonna do that, I got a big 4-foot rigid pipe wrench, and I'll put a shackle in the end.
No, that's a good idea.
And then hook it on there so that when it comes flying off there, at least it's hooked to the crane.
It's all hooked together, not just a weapon flying around.
Yeah, customers tend to not like it when things like that happen.
You had the chance to run this Trailblazer yet?
Yeah, I have. I haven't done a ton of welding on it. I've done a couple, 2-3 hours on it, and an hour of it was running my little Lincoln Activate. It's like an LN25 little suitcase welder.
You carry that in here too?
I do carry that in here.
You like that Lincoln?
Great. I do like that little Activate.
Okay.
It's just like your LN25, same drive, same rollers as an LN25. Little suitcase, uses the little 11-pound instead of the big 30-pound rolls, and it works good. And I've got it set up to do flux core or gas, either or.
How do you link that up to this welder? Just for the people who don't know.
Activate just hooks to the welding leads. So you got your negative, positive welding leads. You hook your lead in. You hook your lead to the back of your Activate, and then you run your other, your ground lead, your clamp to whatever you're welding on.
Okay.
But yeah, it just runs out. So if you got 40 foot of welding lead, you can run it 40 feet out from the truck and
plug in and go.
Plug in and go right there. Weld wherever you need to.
So going to the back of the truck here, he's got something pretty unique to him. I know a lot of people do it, but the deck system. Sell a lot of them for pickups. You don't see a ton of them in service bodies because guys are rolling barrels in and out of these and big parts and whatever, but it's a great idea. It's a perfect fit. I mean, like, yeah, there's an inch or two on each side, not even that. Half an inch or inch.
If you center it up right now, I'm still kind of feeling it out where I want it, whether I want it right against the tailgate or against the front. So I haven't permanently mounted it yet.
Okay.
I kind of liking it right here because I don't have to move everything out of the way, and I'm as bad as anybody else with piling stuff on the other end of the tailgate. So
then you don't have to squirrel yourself up in there to get the drawer open, right?
Yeah, you could just grab them. I think I've got them locked.
So they lock.
Yeah.
Someone's not going to pop your tailgate in the middle of the night and steal all your tools unless they're getting real creative. And that's clean. So do you know the weight capacity on these?
I can't remember if they're 200 a drawer or 400 a drawer.
Yeah.
I think that I'd have to look that up. They're pretty good.
They're stout. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff in them right now. And
the last set I had all my hand tools in one. I could roll that thing out and it would hold it up.
They'll handle quite a bit. And then, Deck makes these cool little cases. You can grab and go if you need to. Put whatever you need to inside of there. This one's got just like light bulbs and trailer stuff, semi stuff for doing electrical on semis. This one's my electrical diagnostics, so I got like my multimeter, test meters. I've got a remote start switch if I've got to run a starter or something remotely.
How do you work that? I assume you got that off the Snap-on truck?
Yeah, again. They got me every time. It's probably on a promo or something. I guarantee it. Probably didn't even need it. We'll get like Peterbilt and Kenworth trucks that they've got some weird relays and not weird, but they've just got start relays behind the dash. We've seen them go bad on cranes, like All-Tech cranes we've had out in the field, and those relays have died or the wiring's burned up. Truck will still run, but it won't start. So you could just bypass the starter, right? You see guys just use a piece of welding lead or something.
Yeah, screwdriver.
This, you just clip it on to the post on the starter, pull this out and hit go on it. If the customer, like say the guys are down, they got a truck that's down, it's a crane, it's not going anywhere, but they can't leave it running. They need to turn it on and shut it off. I'll just leave this there. I'll just hook this up and leave this on the tire, go about getting what I need to get the crane fixed and come back, fix it, take this and go, and then they're never down. That's why I bought that.
Those crane breakdowns are probably mission critical, right?
Yes.
They got a crane up in the air, got a bad relay, bad sensor, not starting, whatever it may be.
Yep. Hydraulic leaks, emissions issues.
Yeah. It's got to have it fixed now.
Yes.
Because it's probably usually in a neighborhood delivering roofing supplies or out on some job site, right?
Yeah. So they're on job.
Becomes a safety hazard. And
on a job site, safety hazard, I mean, just downtime. Customers' loss of, they back up jobs. They schedule them close. So, you get a job supposed to take an hour and a half, ends up taking 3.5 hours because the crane's down. Then they push all their other jobs off for the day, and it really messes up their bottom line at the end of the week. So get out there, get them fixed, get them going, get them off the job site at least, or get their day done so that we can get the parts we need and get them fixed. In the power line world, it was mission critical because that one crane could stop the whole job. Yeah. And then you got a lot of guys.
Got a bunch of linemen standing around, and nobody's super excited about that. But this is probably my most common used box out of this, is this electrical one. Stripper, solder. We've got little tiny shrink wrap for doing, little tiny like CAN bus cables and stuff. And then test leads, different leads for the multimeter, back probes,
little pointed points. And so instead of poking holes through the wire casing, you can back probe sensors, you can back probe Deutsch connectors and weather pack sensors. We do have some that if you absolutely have to, you can pierce the casing with these and clamp them on. I don't use them very often, and when we do, we fix them. That and yeah, back probe kits. Back probes, back probes, back probes. You chasing an electrical gremlin and you've got just back probes for days so that you can color code whatever wire you're working on or whatever system you're working on or however you're going to color code it, and then different types of back probe so you can slide them just inside the back of the Deutsch connectors. And
where'd you get this kit?
I believe this kit came out of one of those tool catalogs you see at like Parts Plus or Napa or something. And I've got a couple of these kits. This is one I keep every day, but yeah, that's where I got that one from. I've had this thing forever. I don't even know how long I've had this thing. I'm surprised this thing still works. I use this almost every day for tracking down electrical issues. You can check voltage, so you'll get guys that'll get in there, not even just, I've done it, everybody's done it. You get in there with your test light. Well, these LED test lights, this one's got a resistor in it, so it's not quite the same, but a test light will run off of less than 12 volts, right? So you get in there, you ground, you're poking stuff, and you think you got voltage everywhere. Well, these new electronics are like 5 volts, right? You're looking for, when you're chasing down some of these sensors, they're 5-volt systems. So they're only running 4 volts now. That's over 25% of their capacity, 30% of their capacity, you know, and they start losing sensors. So instead of just checking for power, we're checking for voltage. We're checking for voltage, we're checking for continuity. If we've got a wire broke, you check amps to see if something's overamping. I'll use this to check for like parasitic draws on equipment that's going dead over the weekend. I use it for everything. Continuity, load test, amp test, voltage. Use it on 110 systems. These new trucks got inverters in them and they have problems.
Where'd you learn how to use this thing? Trial and error?
Trial and error.
Years and years of doing it?
Guys asking questions.
Would you say that's where you got most of your formal training, is trial and error and shop time, or
yeah,
did you do any schooling or?
So I'm not like your traditional guy that knew this is what they were going to do straight out of high school and went to college for whatever, so many years. And then this all came from trial and error. So I grew up in a small town working on stuff. Everything we broke, we fixed. We broke everything we ran. So that's where we learned it. I ran yellow iron for a long time, ran rock crushers, and I worked on them both. If we broke them, we fixed them. I got to where I just liked working on them better than I liked running them, and just transitioned into just working on them. And then, yeah, since then, I've been to school for Cummins, and I've been to school for Ford. You know, I've done a lot of Ford training. I've done Cummins Insight training. We've done international training. I've done a bunch of CAD ET training and stuff. Any of the big manufacturers, really. And then anytime I can, I've been to back east with like Alltech. I've been back east with Palfinger. I've been to different manufacturer trainings all over the country. Anytime I get a chance to go, I absolutely take it.
Knowledge is power in this industry.
Yeah. Questions. I ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Who you know. I mean, this old boy told us once that like we're only as good as the contacts in our phone number.
Yeah.
And I was a punk ass kid, and I was like, you think you know everything, and he is not wrong. Like, I call people all the time, and I have people that call me all the time, and I think that's what makes you better at these repairs is your ability, is your network ability.
Yeah.
The ability to reach out, figure out how to fix something, and go swallow your pride a little bit and just
being humble
get
enough
fixed.
to make the call.
Yeah, these customers don't care who you're having to call. They just care their equipment's up and going. So
Yeah.
if you know somebody that knows it better than you, make that phone call.
Make the call.
I think it happens more than I'd like to admit. Semis aren't my number one thing, but yeah, we were having an issue with the semi today with a air governor and air dryer issue, and I had to call Freightliner going through schematics. They emailed me schematics and parts blow-ups, and it took me a minute, but we figured it out. But yeah, I mean, just this morning. That was what I spent 2 hours this morning doing. Truck's running, customers happy. This is a hydraulic test, like pressure test kit. So you got your test leads, different gauges, different fittings for doing anything. Setting pilot pressures on hydraulically piloted cranes, setting PTO pressures, when you're trying to set your system pressure, 5,500 PSI or whatever. That's what we use this for. I use this for checking control pressures and checking pilot pressures and checking main hydraulic pressures. I probably use this almost as much as I use my electrical stuff. And then the rest of the stuff I keep in here is just like fuses. I honestly don't replace as many fuses as people would think. So I got fuses and crimp seals and stuff in here, but the deck makes it so easy. You can shove it in there, I can pull it out, and we can go to work. They say that you can still put like 2,500 pounds.
Yeah, it was north of 2,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's like 2,500 pounds you can load on top of this thing. And if that's what they're rating it for, then we know that we can put more on top of it. Yeah, if they'll put 2,500 on paper, I guarantee we can get every bit of 4 on it. It's built well. I like it a lot. Like, I was up in the air about this, putting it in the back of my service truck, but I love it. I mean, it just gives me more storage room that's right here where I'm working all day long, and makes it to where I can just keep more of my stuff handy. Again, this is like, we got Allen wrench socket sets. We got
sleeping bags.
Yeah, sleeping bags.
You never know, right?
You know how us.
You never know.
You know, us mechanics are. But power probe kit, do use this a lot still. I've had this one for a long time. I know they got newer and better ones, I guess, but I use this one. Tap and die set, the old proto torque multiplier for big bolts. Yeah, so we're gonna use this. I use this most commonly for checking bolts or when we're mounting cranes on chassis and you've got a torque, you know, they're an inch and a quarter all thread rod with nuts. We've got to take them to like 1,600 foot-pounds, and you're not pulling 1,600 foot-pounds all day long with just a 3/4 torque wrench. You could just put your 3/4 torque wrench on this and then pull your 250 foot-pounds or whatever and save your back.
Yep.
And I do.
So you put your torque wrench on one side, and then this has gears inside of it, right? And it multiplies. So the more you turn this, the stronger this side is coming out.
Your input is gear reduced through this to allow you to apply more torque to what you're working on. I use it for annual inspections too, because we check torque. I check torque on any mounting bolt when I'm doing crane annual inspections.
Are you certified to do an annual on a crane?
Yep, I am. And I use this to go through there and check those so that I'm not just pencil whipping and I can confidently tell them that the crane's still mounted like it's supposed to be.
Torque down correctly.
Yep. Tap and die set. I like this gear wrench set. I know my Snap-on guy's not gonna like that I said that. I like this set. This set didn't break the bank. It's got everything that I need. I like the little ratcheting mechanism. I can get in there and use it in places that I'd have to twist and pull it out and restart over and over again.
Where'd you get it?
I'm pretty sure I bought this gear wrench set off of the Cornwell truck down here in St. George. Our Cornwell dealer down here, I don't even know if he's still around. I haven't seen him I haven't seen the Cornwell truck in years, but he sold a lot of this gear wrench stuff. And he sold a lot of Milwaukee stuff.
They make good stuff.
Yeah, and he sold a lot of Milwaukee stuff. Try to support local, right? These guys are out there running the truck, trying to make a living. And then, yeah, we just got O-ring kits, lots and lots of different O-ring kits, another first aid kit, but lots of O-ring kits.
I bet your crane repairs probably have a lot of O-rings, right?
Yeah, cranes, excavators, I carry a cat plug kit, carry cat hydraulic. I replace a lot of O-rings. There's a lot of emergency calls for O-rings in the middle of nowhere. So I try to carry as many of them as I can so I don't ever have to tell anybody that I don't have them. These sleeping bags are just blankets from Harbor Freight. There's moving blankets. I use these things for creepers in the dirt, lay them down so I'm not laying in 4 inches of moon dust, I use them for oil absorbent pads. If I got a big ass leak, I'll just spread these out there and these will actually absorb oil really good. So I'll lay these out underneath there so I'm not making a mess. And they're cheap. I think you buy them in the checkout aisle at Harbor Freight for like $3 or $4. I keep 2, 3, or 4 of them on the truck all the time. I try to avoid making messes. I keep rigging up here. A couple drain pans. I got a pop-up tent, more drain pans, drip pans, and then rigging and hoses in here. I've got hoses that I've built over the years to help me make some jobs easier. You got steel rigid pipes. I've got hoses for bypass and steel rigid pipes and stuff in the field in case we need to get them going. Got an old grease gun in here, but rigging. I keep a lot of my web sling, rigging, big funnels, stuff that's just kind of in the way. I keep up here. This is not a lot of the parts, but this is just Cleesby conveyor parts for Cleesby roofing conveyors, and I keep the parts in this one. One down there's got like plastic chain parts and stuff. But yeah, that's what I keep up here. Kind of just stuff that's gonna be in the way. I don't use it every day, but I need to have it on the truck.
Well, you see a lot of these tailgates, you gotta just heave-ho that thing up, slam it, and then they stick and they're cold. But yeah, it's just got one little lever on this side. You just lift it up, it slides down. Just the smoothest operation. And then she's locked. I really like that.
I do.
Another nice thing about these Stellars, a lot of the new crane bodies do this, but this is compartmentalized on this crane compartment. So this is actually a steel box in here. So gets all your strength, goes in, ties into the truck frame going across, and then the rest of the body's aluminum.
I mean, aluminum's come a long ways. It's not, people make fun of it because it's beer can material, but it's not. Like they're tough, and I love them. This is my mess. I've got electrical sensors, I've got wiring, pigtails, Deutsch plugs, any kind of special wiring or anything I keep in these. I keep pieces and parts off of stuff that I work on. I keep in these. I just run these Durham manufacturing bolt bins. You can get these things from everywhere, I think, right? You can get them from Rhodes Nuts and Bolts. You can get them from you know, Fastenal or Lawson, you can order them, I think, right from Durham Manufacturing. They fit really good. I usually, and I'm gonna come up with a system for this. I've got a way to keep these things closed usually. I usually just use magnet and some paracord. And then in here, I keep big drill bits up in here, easy outs and burrs, and I keep big taps in here. What is this? This is like a one inch die. Battery tools, if I'm doing battery lugs, connectors and stuff, I keep a lot of that stuff in here. Glad hand seals, time certs for stripped out holes. I don't know, a lot of guys use helicoils. I don't use helicoils, I use time certs. I don't have them pull. Have you ever seen these?
Why would you use that?
Yeah. So you'll get like a, I mean, something pulls threads. So you get a threaded hole in a piece of, you know, 1/2 inch plate and aluminum or steel in it, they strip it out. Well, you can drill it and put a helicoil in there, and we all know helicoils don't do so great. This is kind of the same concept. You're gonna drill it, and then you're going to tap it with this tap, and then you're gonna run this bad boy in there that flares this little insert out. Then it becomes a permanent thread fixture in whatever you're putting it in. But yeah, I use them for everything, and I've got big ones, I've got small ones, but I use them for thread repair. Bolts, I keep 1/4 to 3/4 on the truck. 3 inch, I keep these all the way up to 6 inch, 3/4 bolts.
Do you have an inventory do you keep on these things, or it's just like, I use 10 of these, maybe I'll grab 10 the next day? Or...
No, so I don't keep my nuts and bolts inventoried. I do just kind of when once a month, I order from a supplier here in town. I'll just go through and figure out what I need, and I'll order 1 bag of this, 1 bag of that.
Some of these suppliers will even come out and stock you back up, right?
Yeah, they will, or they'll drop ship to my house, and a lot of that stuff is next day. So a lot of this stuff gets billed out. Like some of these big ones get billed out per piece. A lot of these small ones get billed out as shop supplies. Yeah. You go in there and you put a 1/4 inch bolt in there and not breaking that out. Yeah. Fuses, cotter pins. This is like welding torch stuff. This is where I keep like my insulators and torch nozzles, rollers for my wire feed, quick connects for my torch setup, where I just keep kind of all that stuff, and tips for my, MIG tips, coolant vacuum kits, Jiffy Connect kit for pulling transmission cooler lines. These are just, it's just a cheap little kit, but it'll get you out of jam. It helps me get through all those little quick connects that you see on mostly, I'm gonna say probably mostly light medium duty stuff more than heavy duty stuff. I use them enough to keep them on the truck. Fire blanket doubles as a keeping my drawer shut. so multi-purpose tool right here. But yeah, I carry a fire blanket obviously for welding out here.
Yeah, it's a bad fire year this year. Everything's dry, so you're throwing sparks out in the desert. You better have a fire extinguisher and a fire blanket.
Yes.
Probably a shovel.
And a shovel. We usually try to keep a water truck around.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now any welding that you're doing, you should have somebody watching. You're gonna need a fire truck. I think our insurance states that we gotta have somebody there for 30 minutes after we're done.
Really?
This is another one of those ones that I bought. I haven't used it enough to justify paying for it. Snap on again, because they always carry stuff like this. This is just a tachometer. This thing will measure how fast something's spinning.
Really?
Yeah, so we had...
You never know, right?
We had a tensioner that one bull wheel was moving faster than the other bull wheel was. It was breaking wire. And we knew that's what was going on, but we couldn't prove it. So I went and bought this thing. But you can run this little rubber wheel and mark it and then count it, and it'll tell you how many RPMs. You can stick these little reflective things on there, and you can shoot them with this gun, and it will measure them every time they come past, and it'll give you RPMs. It's got different adapters and stuff.
Well done, Snap-on.
It was critical that I had this, and it pinpointed a huge problem we were having and allowed us to fix it. And then I've used it a bunch of times after that, measuring rotation speeds on almost always stringing equipment.
How much does something like that go for?
I don't think you ask that. It's $50 a week for the rest of your life. That's what all this stuff is. $50 a week for the rest of your life. I think that's the deal. It might have gone up with inflation. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably $75 a week forever.
Yeah, it might be more. I'm not sure. No, I think this is probably $300. This is not one of the most expensive tools I've ever bought, but it's probably $400. I'm sure.
The reason you go with them the most, is it just because they have everything?
That's like arguing over truck brands. That's an argument that'll go back forever. I have replaced almost everything that I have Snap-on I had in some other brand at some other point in time. I broke it enough that I decided to go with Snap-on, and then you quit breaking them, and then you start to realize they do. I mean, they do. This isn't like a Snap-on commercial, but they just make quality stuff.
And they've got a guy that brings a truck around conveniently to wherever you are.
Yeah, he'll
to ask what you're doing and what you need.
Yeah, and our guy around here makes it really easy. He's got 5 trucks.
Wow.
And he's got a guy sits out the warehouse, and occasionally they'll just come here to the house. My wife, that's her favorite part, is that the Snap-on truck will come to the house. Welding stuff. I run a 50-foot and then another 50-foot with a quick connect. We've got my welding leads in here. I run a heavy short cord for probably 25 or 50 feet, and then I go to a smaller cord for the next 50 feet because, I mean, none of us are really welding 300 amps.
No, 200 feet away.
Yeah, none of us are doing that. So this is that little Activate.
Let's see that thing.
This is, let's pull some of this stuff out of here. So this is the 2 whips for the Activate. One set up for gas, one set up for flux core. I'm sure a lot of guys know, but I'm sure there's ones that out there that don't. So flux core, you don't need gas, so I can weld in the wind. I can weld 045 wire with this bad boy, and so I can lay beads just as good or better than you can with 7018. You just got to know how to set up, because once you do, they, like anybody that's ever figured it out loves it. They weld good. They build ships and the skyrise, you know, high rises with flux core, so it works. And then gas, because gas does weld beautiful, and it's great for doing thinner stuff especially, so I carry them both, and if I can weld with gas, I will. Little Lincoln Activate. So they make an LN25 that takes that gigantic wire reel that I just don't find myself using on the truck as much, so this little guy is pretty easy to move around. Just uses an 11-pound spool right here. You got your little communication clamp, you know, you clamp this to the piece you're working on, and off you go. You can set your voltage, see, you know, constant current, constant voltage. You can set up whether you want to pull the trigger and hold it or pull the trigger and not hold it. Change all different wire types, but this bad boy does a lot of welding. And they put it in a case that takes a butt kicking. Like,
yeah.
This thing's
pretty much a Pelican case.
Yeah, this thing's lived a rough life, and
it doesn't look like it. And
it's still, it has, man. It's been beat up, and it just does good. So there's another thing we can talk about, the Stellar bed. I love that this is flat, and that the bottles, they put a drop down floor in this, so I can still fit my full size oxygen bottle and acetylene bottle, and not have this thing sticking up here, because you stick this up here and then you stick the crane way in the air, and it just makes the whole package taller.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just a cleaner package. I love it. I think it sits lower, it sits cleaner. Because I mean, for all those cranes I ran for forever, you know, they all stick in the air, and then you put a box underneath there because you try to use some more of that room, and you can't. And this thing's got room to mount something underneath it, and it's still flat. It doesn't need to be a mile in the air.
Fire it up.
The crane?
Every day. I try to use it for everything. I don't like lifting stuff anymore, so I mean, you get something that weighs a couple 100 pounds, instead of fighting with it, pick it up the crane, sling it in there. I use it for a second set of hands. You know, you're out there by yourself, you don't have somebody with you. This thing will do some heavy holding for you while you're working. I use it just for light. They put these lights on here. If I'm working on something and I need a light, instead of holding a flashlight in my mouth, you can just fly this thing out over top of me and light it up, and these are bright. These things do a good job. It's easy. We're just gonna start this truck. They got an electric park brake on them now instead of your standard step on it park brake, but you're just gonna set the park brake. Stellar puts their switches up here from the factory, so we've got like our cab lights and everything. PTO's right there. So we're gonna kick the PTO in, give it just a second. She kicks on, there it is. So we come back here, this is our outrigger controls. So this is gonna run your extension in and out. We'll go ahead and run that out. Street side and curb side down. Set your crane up. This remote's just twist lock, comes on, supplies the power, and then you just push any button to get it to come on. You're gonna link it, so you're gonna hit this BST link. It's gonna show that you're linked to your crane. Yeah, so this is your analog switch. This is gonna determine how fast or slow something moves. So we're just gonna push up and then come around, and then, yeah, the faster or slower you squeeze that, the faster or slower the crane goes. Stellar runs a half a hook on this thing instead of a full D-ring, so you don't have to boom it to the ground and unhook it and let it go. You can just shake this off right here. So you boom up, and now we're ready to rock and roll. Things I love about this remote, new to me, I don't know how long they've been running this. Is this new?
Yeah,
Jim?
it's fairly new.
I love that it shows my crane angle, it shows my crane, it shows my load percentage and stuff, and we can roll through this. So it shows you how much you can lift at that angle, and that, or the angle that you're at, and the reach that you're at. It gives you your max radius, gives you your current radius. So 7'10" from the center point of the crane is where you're at. Turn our air on right here. Turn the air off right there. And then you got like start, stop engine, and then your optional switches, you can change these from momentary to latch, but like that's what your light on the head of your crane would be like option 1. I got it set to latch, so I can push up right here for option 1. It's gonna show that it's latched, and those lights just came on. And it's got 30 foot of reach. It'll really reach up there. You wanna try it?
Yeah.
Get on there.
How much do you think I weigh?
No embarrassment. No
90
judgment zone right here.
Hey.
How much does Cole weigh? All right, Cole's going up on the hook here to get a scale weight.
So it didn't subtract the hook weight. Let's put him back down for a second. So yeah, 215.
I'll take 215.
220. It's leaning on the.
I'll take every bit of 215.
Let's see what this says.
With the hook weight,
So right now it's showing 111.
111.
So what would that be? That's 280. That can't. It's off, right? Because
Yeah.
what do you weigh? 245.
No, I'm like
230.
185.
230. Oh yeah, you're not very.
Yeah.
I'm 260, so I'm not very good at that.
math isn't our strong suit around here. It's
No.
fine. But the crane will do the math for you. You just got to be able to add and subtract.
It'll tell you to stop, and
Yeah.
then you don't.
Remote's got a vibrator in it. So if you get to the
Yeah.
point where you're like, yeah, you're pushing it, that thing will start to vibrate.
At 85%, it starts to let you know that you're getting close, and then at 95%, it starts to go nuts.
Yeah.
But it does have a boost mode, so when it locks out, you can put it in a boost mode, and it will slow all the functions on the crane down, but it gives you another 10%.
Yeah.
So Stellar's anti-tube block on the end of this is this whole yellow plate. So if you manage to push on the head of this or run this block into this right here, it's gonna lift this up and it shuts it off to keep you from dropping something on your head.
And if you're going into mine sites,
Yes.
you've got to be MSHA rated. You got to get your truck certified, and they will test your anti-tube block to make sure that works. So
Yes,
They're pretty
MSHA is
critical.
a stickler. OSHA's supposed to as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to, if you're on a site, that's an OSHA and an MSHA requirement.
it took us a while to get you financed. Your business is relatively new. So a lot of these big banks, you're taking out a loan for a couple $100 grand. They're going to want to see some history in your bank account. If you've just started a business, you need some help getting these things financed, we have some leasing options. We also do rentals, short-term and long-term. And then obviously we can work with your bank. Whatever you need to do to get into a truck, we'll help you get it figured out. We can get you into a Ford, a Ram, a Chevy, Peterbilt, Kenworth, whatever it may be. We've got some used options we can help link you up with as well. We work with obviously a lot of the big fleets. Get a hold of us right here below. My name's Jackknife Jim. You can reach out to me if you have any questions. Red Desert Field Service, look them up on Instagram. Where else can they get a hold of you?
Got a website, reddesertfieldservice.com.
Would you mind if people called you and just asked, kind of picked your brain?
No, not at all. I think that's probably the biggest thing stopping most guys is
Yeah.
just not knowing where to start.
That
No clue.
initial barrier to entry is probably stopping 90% of these dudes that have the knowledge, have the contacts, have the customer base, definitely have the tools. It's just that next big leap. How do I buy a truck? How do I set up an LLC? How do I get an EIN number?
Yep.
Open a bank account? But hey, Tommy, thanks for showing us around your truck. You've done an awesome job. The wrap's beautiful.
Appreciate it.
The layout's clean. It's organized. And yeah, we hope to see you out on the road, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys and everything you've done. For sure. Couldn't have even been to this point without you guys.